his name is...
Welcome back to the channel, guys. Hope you liked that little intro clip. And today we're playing 6.7 German, which has been a lot of fun for me since I got the RU251. Up until that point it was a bit frustrating, but with the consistent points acquisition of the RU251, you're pretty much guaranteed a respawn on any map with a capture point that's available, and that makes the gameplay a whole lot of fun. Because generally what I do is jump into the narwhal and just have a blast, and that's exactly what we're going to do later in this match. And I'm just starting to get my audio down. In fact, I think I have the settings exactly where I want them as of the time of the making of this video. But I did record this one before I had things figured out, and there's a warbly echo for this clip, so most of the in-game sound is going to be muted, as I've normally done in my videos, but from this point on we'll have complete audio with even the potential to have live commentary, so we'll see how that works out. But maybe I want to reserve the right to speak candidly while I'm playing. I'll have to figure that out. So, unsurprisingly, since we have one capture point on this map, that's exactly where I'm heading for. I happen to get there first, and this is not one of those maps where you can afford to wait for your team, which would normally be a good idea, but German teams tend to flank quite a bit and spread out on maps like this, which is not a bad thing, but that also means that I'm not going to be receiving a whole lot of support initially at this capture point. And I'm expecting the enemy team to arrive shortly, so I pop around my own smoke screen and take a peek around the corner, and that's a dangerous thing to do. So I back up a bit, take another look, spot movement, and take the shot, and it looks like the lamppost ate that heat round, which is too bad because I probably would have taken out that tank, but I've already accomplished my goal with the RU251, which is to capture the point, and we pick up a geez, what's that thing called? That American go-kart with a 90mm cannon on it. I can't remember the name of that thing, but it's totally bonkers. It's really fun to play. Sometimes frustrating because you can die to machine guns, but that is the nature of the beast. And somehow we got our engine set on fire there. I think it was actually from the 50 cals that were getting sprayed at me by that. I couldn't quite tell, was that a T-32? Anyway, we take a shot into the side of the turret, and it's going to be from a T-29, so that was an overpen, which saved us. If that round had gone off, we'd be in big trouble. I don't have enough time to reload, but I'm putting some machine gun rounds into him, and a couple of reasons for that. And he does take us out before our shot registers, so even though it appeared to fire, that cannon round did not count. And I couldn't quite decide if I wanted to Arado or Narwhal at this point. There's a good chance that there's several targets clustered around those cable cars opposite from A, but I wanted to have some fun, and I still haven't quite gotten done seeing this cool anime skin on my Narwhal, and that's going to turn out to be a good decision for me on this match. I have a ton of fun with the ME262A1U4 in this one. As I talked about in a previous video, the skills you pick up in Air RB if you ground strike with the Narwhal can come in really handy in Tank RB matches. Now, one exception is that in Air RB you really want to be sparing with your shots, because one penetration will destroy an enemy tank, be it a medium or heavy tank. But in this game mode, shots are rendered more realistically, and so you're going to have to really fire quite a few rounds in general to ensure critical damage on an enemy vehicle. One into the engine compartment is generally enough to set it on fire, as you see. Take out the transmission of that American light tank. Was that a Chaffee? I'm not quite sure. And I don't think I've mentioned it yet, but I definitely have a cold today. I've caught the tank baby flu So we're all sick today in the Wicks house, and so if it sounds like I'm breathing exclusively out of my mouth and in through my mouth, well, that's actually the case. My apologies. I'll try to keep my sickness on this side of the mic. Maybe just back up from your speakers a little bit to avoid the germs. But already we've crippled 2 or 3 enemy tanks, which all that's really going to do is reduce their mobility, but I've found that getting an enemy tank stuck in position while simultaneously marking him with the cannon can often lead to a swift kill assist, and even if that's not the case, then stopping the enemy tank for the 30 seconds or so that it takes for them to repair their drivetrain can often make quite a difference in battles like these. And with the ability of the narwhal to move from one hotspot to another rapidly and continuously line up for high-speed attacks, makes this strategy effective and, in my book, fun. Now, as far as the rewards, it's generally fairly well rewarding. You're not going to get the kind of air research points that you would get if you were in Air RB, but the Silver Lions reward is there, and it's worth playing even if it's not the most well, we're grounded. It's worth playing even if it's not the most rewarding, and you'll notice that I was able to harvest quite a few respawn points from that, and I decided to roll out in the Panther just because I haven't researched very much in this tank yet, and this is a good chance to go for a spin. Excuse me. And this is the Panther F variant, which has the small term turret and few other advantages. It has a slower turret traverse than other Panther models, a weaker engine, a lower reverse speed than some other models, but that increased armor. Oh, I think it also has a thicker frontal plate. Not that that generally matters at this rank, but at 6.0 that makes a difference. The decent gun on the Panther still manages to perform even at a 6.7 battle rating, and with its acceptable top speed and overall good handling characteristics, if a bit slow, it makes for a competent flanker, but I wouldn't recommend going head to head with this tank unless you have a clear advantage, because the gun has absolutely no stabilizer and it tends to wobble quite a bit when you're moving, and especially when you're stopping. And with the less than stellar hull traverse and slow turret traverse speeds, it's really more of a ambush tank than anything else at this tier, and the armor is still good, so you have a chance to ricochet a shot or two, but I wouldn't recommend relying on that. And I'm not quite so familiar with this tank. Here we go, taking a shot at range, and that seemed to drop quite a bit further than I would expect it to. I suspect that was more a feature of the low experience crew on this tank and the fact that I haven't picked up any of the accuracy upgrades for the gun. As a longtime player of War Thunder and someone who really has put a lot of time in premium vehicles, I really wish that you didn't have to grind through upgrades for any of the tanks. I wish we could just enjoy the tanks on an even level from the start. It sort of gives an advantage to people who don't need an advantage, because people who've put, 20, 30 hours into a tank, they already know very well how it handles and how to use it effectively if they're playing with their mind turned on and not getting too frustrated. And that's a huge tactical advantage. Now, to have the additional advantage of increased performance in areas that are really vital for the efficiency of the vehicle, that seems like quite a benefit to someone who's put time into the vehicle, but at the same time, maybe that's what it takes to keep the game interesting for some people. I know that the grind is both a blessing and a curse when it comes to games like this, and I could see a lot of people no longer playing the game for so long, or investing so much into it in emotional and monetary investment, not to mention their time, if there weren't things like modules to unlock in vehicles. I know that as for myself, I've spent most of my time going for the next big thing, the next vehicle in the tree or something at the end of the tech tree. So, what do you think? I know this has been kind of just casual footage, but I know that research is probably not going to see a drastic change in the future, but what would War Thunder be like if everything was unlocked and everybody could just play whatever they want at a maximum level of efficiency? What kind of game would that be? Interesting thing to think about. Anyway, catch you guys in the next video.